Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Iron Canon Podcast, your home for in-depth discussion on lore, the High Republic, and the whole canon of the galaxy far, far away. My name is Matthew. I'm coming to you from Underworld North Studio here in Toronto. As always, I'm joined from across the continent by your friend and mine, Mr. Joel Davis. Joel, how are you doing this week? Oh, you're muted.
Whoopsies. I'm doing good. I saw the Superman trailer this week, so I'm pretty excited about that. There we go. Now I got to talk about it.
No, you can talk about it. There we go. I'm doing all right. I'm a bit under the weather, but the end is nigh. The end is nigh. Speaking of which, the end is nigh in 2024. It was an intriguing, fascinating, Hansicling year of Star Wars, to say the least. This week we do look back on the year that was. What did we love? What did we enjoy? What might have prompted all that vigorous head scratching? So welcome to the last Ion Canon of the year. We will get into all that in just a bit. First, get the plugs out of the way. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Ion Canon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD, and of course on Blue Sky, up and coming, emerging pro platform Blue Sky at on ioncanon.bsky.social. Please do give us a follow, give us a shout out there as well. If audio only is your speed, or if you're driving, or if you are going for a walk, or just feel like sitting in your room listening to a podcast, shortly after this, after we finish recording, finish going live here on YouTube and Twitch, we go over to pop it over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts, right into your earbuds. So if you enjoy that, if you appreciate that, if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, in the future, because it would be the future, it's not uploaded yet, please do let me know. Let us know if this is what you prefer, if you prefer audio only or you like the video. I know Spotify has a video option, but I haven't gotten to that yet. Might be worth it, I don't know, but definitely audio only, we're there. Also to note on this YouTube channel I mentioned, proudly part of the Star Wars Underworld podcast network, where we got YouTube memberships and super chats. And so if you want to support the channel, support the network, we would be most appreciated. We would be most appreciative, I should say. We would appreciate it. Anything you can help. And also, of course, the Star Wars Underworld Discord server down in the description below. You can find a link to the Discord server to join in. The water's fine. Sharing thoughts on Skeleton Crew, thoughts on Marvel, thoughts on probably on Superman trailer. I imagine also events and different things going on. Anything happened recently? Anything on the horizon?
You keep muting. I keep muting. I keep thinking I'm muting. Dang it. Nothing this week on the horizon. We're going to take a week for the holidays off and then come back next year with some stuff. Last week we did game night, which was fun. It's a little quiet event. But yeah, join us to talk about Superman, Marvel, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings, all that fun stuff. So go ahead, join us.
Yes, definitely. The conversations in there, it's pretty interesting. I chime in every now and then. Last but not least, Tractor and Comics reviews. Usually every Wednesday, Chris Abbott and I get together right here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel and chat about the comic books, Star Wars comic books that came out that day. But there is one. Believe it or not, there is one coming out on Christmas Day. Last Battle of Jakku, Last Stand. But we're not going to get together and talk. We're off with our family for the holidays, and so yeah, it is coming out. We will pick that one up probably back in January, because we're powering down the tractor beam for the next 2 weeks, just to relax and enjoy time with family and friends and whatnot for the holidays. So see you guys. We'll see you all in a few weeks. Of course, Ion Canon also taking a break just for next week. I believe we're taking off next week, and then we'll be back again in January as well. So feel free to check out our previous episodes. Lots of backlog here on Ion Canon, Tractor Beam. Not too many episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, but a whole bunch right here on YouTube, and a bunch, even more. Not even more. A few on, if you search Ion Canon YouTube channel, our defunct channel, there are a few back there. So please do feel free to check us out there. Last week, I enjoyed last week's episode. Joel, hope you enjoyed relaxing last week's episode. There we go. All right. I've gabbed enough for a bit. Our week in Star Wars or our week in Star Wars adjacent? I think we both have Star Wars adjacent topics potentially. I don't know. Maybe you might have something.
I changed my mind, so I decided to go straight up to Star Wars. But first off, this isn't my week of Star Wars, but I'm going to use this opportunity to show this anyway.
The window.
The Star Wars Advent Calendar.
Nice. Yeah.
I've been working on it all month.
We can mostly see the windows. We can't actually see the Legos. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. All right. I had to think about that. I just had to show that off because I've had it. I wonder if Dominic did have it this year?
Yeah, Dom does it almost every year. So
okay, so we have the same one.
Yeah. So I was very happy that there is a Venator class Star Destroyer in this apartment, even though it's not mine.
By the way, if you ever get a chance, ask him if he always gets extra pieces. I always get extra pieces, so I just put them on the street.
Yeah, they all do. That's Lego. They ship extra. There's a reason for that, because they can only make. It's actually cheaper for them to make like a set number, and so even if you only need 3, it's cheaper for them to make and then ship 5. That's kind of how it works. So,
okay.
Also, so there's small, good replacements, things like that. So
I thought so. Okay, I'll have to tell my dad that. But no, my week of Star Wars is a little bit of a continuation of last week's episode, which I wasn't on. Good episode, by the way. Lots of fun. It's actually something we discussed off camera, you and I, but I thought I bring it up because no one brought it up, and I was a little sad. If I was there, I'm just kidding. And that is, I've always noticed people do. There's a lot of especially older fans, but like a lot of people did not like the whole chosen one aspect of Anakin Skywalker's character being add on to that mythology. And I noticed a lot of the times, people do not like chosen one stories. They don't like it when chosen one prophecies are brought on to stories. I've noticed this quite a lot. There's a lot of ongoing fiction I follow. Remembering recently the Kingdom Hearts discussion, my favorite video game franchise, which has been going on since 2002. And people getting worried, like, oh no, are they going to add a chosen one aspect to Sora's character? Because his whole thing is he's just a nobody who's just kind of your average Joe who gets a magical MacGuffin and then gets tossed into the grand epic story. I know with Anakin Skywalker / Vader, a lot of people don't like the chosen one aspect because they feel like it undermines the moment in Return of the Jedi, because they just like the fact that, like, they just always say, like, they just like the fact, like, no, he just, after years of making bad decisions, Vader finally made one good decision in his life and saved the galaxy finally. Like, after, and I've always wondered if there's like just a want or, and I wish we could have gotten Sophie's opinion on this too, a want or a need for a secular reading of Star Wars where the chosen one prophecy undermines. I mean, I don't think it undermines that moment that much. Although I like the chosen one's aspect, because I feel like it's George commenting on chosen one prophecies and saying, hey, what if the chosen one actually, instead of doing the thing, actually becomes a bad guy for a good hot second and really screws it up for everyone for the next 30 years before eventually getting around to actually doing the chosen thing that he was supposed to do in the first place. And what happens when you pipe up a guy, the chosen one, they actually become an egotistical maniac. Messiah complex, as you will, which is a thing. Certain dictators in history actually have this. I don't know. It's just something I've always thought about, as the aspect of Anakin being a chosen one has had back in the day, and even to this day, from groups of people, depending on who you ask, pushed back by folks who are like not liking that aspect of the story. I personally don't think it's that big a deal myself, but I don't know. I just wonder if maybe it's people wanting a more secular reading on Star Wars. I don't know. That's just sort of always been my thoughts about it.
Theology time with Joel. There we go.
There we go.
It's a great question, actually, and I think I may have started to hint at it, but I didn't quite know what the answer was. But it's a very interesting thought. I mean, maybe kind of reminds people too much of Sunday school and like the old couches and the grape juice or who knows what. So yeah, I wonder, that's kind of part of it. Also, I mean, Anakin's story. If Anakin's story is the more important one, then it undermines Luke's story a little bit. I could see that argument. Of course, for me, I mean, the Chosen One prophecy defines that moment in Return of the Jedi in part. It also, of course, is defined by the bond between father and son, and that the love between father and son there. But also, I mean, the love, that's the son of Padme. That's the thing that Greg Pak really dove into in his comic book, which we will get into a little bit later on the show, I think. But yeah, the that's the son of Padme writhing on the floor. So yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's a secular reading, maybe related to that. They want a reading that is more exclusively personal, and just don't necessarily track on the cosmic level of things, maybe, or at least to say, I mean, it's not that they deny, the importance of the Force in Star Wars. It's just maybe it's more, put it this way, they like the living Force. They're not too thrilled with the cosmic Force, if that makes any sense.
I know. I think it does, because every time I hear people complain about it, like they always say the Chosen One aspect is kind of pointless to them. It is that personal. It's like you have the father-son bonding moment. That's all you need. You don't need the cosmic prophecy thing like that. I mean, that's their argument.
Yeah,
I like both, so I'm happy.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely an interesting question, interesting argument that I hadn't really thought of until you mentioned it, frankly. So that's interesting. I mean, trying to think, what was I going to say there? Yeah, no, maybe it'll come back to me later, but yeah, it's fascinating. Well, this is what I was going to say is, I mean, the problem with that argument, not the problem, yeah, maybe the problem a little bit. I mean, Star Wars at its best, I say this all the time. Star Wars at its best always works on these three levels of the personal, the societal, political, and the cosmic. And that moment, that scene, encapsulates all three of them perfectly, right? It's the personal, like I mentioned with Anakin and Luke. It's the political. It's the Emperor's right hand man turning to support the rebels, turning tail, and the implications of that for the Death Star and the rebellion and the Empire. And then, of course, the cosmic. It's I mean, when we think about this, when later material reflects on it, and maybe what George had in mind, only implicitly, and that's the thing, until the prequels, until the Chosen One prophecy, that it's the will of the Force bringing about Anakin's destiny, despite the last 30 years, maybe even in a twist of using the brutality and using evil for good. And so that, I mean, that gets us back to what we were talking about last week with the way that the Force can use evil for good. And yeah, it's a interesting, again, but again, I can see the argument. I can see they don't want the Force, the will of the Force, to be that all powerful. Is maybe what you're getting by a secular argument. They don't want the cosmic Force to be that able to drive everything. Maybe as wanting to assert the importance of free will and choice and responsibility in that choice. Yeah, brings up a lot of good questions.
That's it. I'm ambivalent on it. The whole thing, quite frankly. I mean, and like I don't have like a strong love for the prophecy, but I don't have like this hatred that other people have. I mean, I'm just sort of used to it. That's sort of been my thing. Yeah. But yeah, that was just something I thought of as for discussion. One more thing. You didn't see my comment. I don't remember what you were talking about. We were talking about like God and something like the Force and God and all that. And I don't remember, but and I put down in the comments, this is why Thrawn doesn't like the Star Wars universe. He can't defeat God. And I said, Thrawn can't analyze God's artwork.
Interesting.
He can't learn his tactics. I don't remember what you were talking about, but I just remember that joke. So that's one more joke I had to give. And good show. That's good show.
Yeah, Vicars of Theed. I'm stewing on some ideas for Sophia and I to do, but yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that would be great.
My weekend Star Wars kind of, sort of like this. I mean, J.R.R. Tolkien, very clearly coming from a entire, very traditional Catholic worldview. So Dom and I saw War of the Rohirrim on when was it, Friday? And I'm bringing this up because it is very Star Wars adjacent, and we were noticing some very Star Wars adjacent things. I was thinking, in terms of, it's 200 years, 200 years before The Hobbit, and so just right around when the High Republic is, right? And it is this very well self-contained story in Rohan, looking at this culture, but really clearly in the world, in the visual language, literally the musical language.
Peter Jackson's version of the world.
Yeah, it was Peter Jackson. So it's what we know, and and Howard Shore, his themes come back in profound ways. Interestingly, using the Rohan theme, it centers them in a way that, of course, the films don't, because it's mostly got Gondor and the hobbits. But yeah, just thinking about how different ways of marking passage of time. Also, the thing that comes to mind, the clearest Star Wars adjacent moment that comes to mind is this main character, Hera, who is very much like a Rey. Is it Hera? I can't tell. I like the name too. Yeah, there we go. Very much like Rey, though, in young, on her own, figuring it out on her own. I mean, she's not abandoned on a desert planet or anything, but she's told by other people what to do and where to go and what to put, and has this. I think Dom brought this out. There's a very much a Darth Edgelord, Kylo Ren type character as well.
I saw him in the trailers.
Yeah,
he's got black hair.
Yeah, and has that angst to him. So a number of things. I'm just trying to think. I mean, interestingly enough, it raises questions about what you need to do, and this we'll get into with Eyes on Screen as well. What you need to do to situate yourself in a universe, in a world building, and what you don't need. And there are some moments of tie-in. This was interesting. Some moments of tie-in. So Dom has only seen gonna add him a little bit here. He's only seen the Lord of the Rings movies a few times, and so it's not as much ingrained in him. I don't think he's read the novels. And so
of Tolkien's work of the legendary, like I do.
Yeah. And so I've watched the movies lots, and so I know what happens. But there are some moments in there that are explicitly like, hey, this is when this is, and this is looking ahead to this thing that happens in the films. I'm like, we don't really need that, but it was really helpful for Dom. So, just think of the casual fan situating themselves in a universe versus somebody, I know what this tower is. I know what's going on there. We don't need to worry about it too much. But also there's one moment that does connect really well. I thought it was more subtle, and so yeah. I'm not spoiling. I'm trying not to spoil it, but yeah, it's Star Wars adjacent in that way. It's also animated.
I'll comment on that a little bit, though. I haven't seen the movie, but I can definitely feel like I think I know what you're talking about. I do. It's something I think the Hobbit movie struggled with because they want to, because it's sort of like the Hobbit's weird. Okay, first off, the Hobbit's weird because the book came out before the original Lord of the Rings, so it's not really a prequel to the Lord of the Rings. If anything, Lord of the Rings is a sequel to the Hobbit. But because of the movies themselves, the Hobbit coming after the Lord of the Rings, the movie, when the movies were like the biggest thing ever, the Hobbit kind of struggled with, okay, do we want to be just a retelling of the Hobbit, or are we like a prequel to Lord of the Rings, right? Where it's like, we got to set up Sauron's coming back, and we got to get him more involved, even though he wasn't even mentioned in the books because he didn't exist yet. I think, well, he got retconned into being Necromancer. I don't know if Tolkien knew he was going to be the Necromancer later. I don't think he did. Even Tolkien retcons himself. I mean, heck, there's the whole thing with Gollum, or even like the Gollum moment. That's interesting because that's in the book, of course. But again, that is that this is very much a prequel to Lord of the Rings because obviously that's going to be big.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, you know, it's like when Saruman and the White Council come in the Hobbit movies. It's not in the book. It's technically in the lore. So we're doing the lore, but we're also doing that prequel thing where it's like, oh, look, Saruman. You hear the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
But it's like, look, they're friends now still. Like, they're not enemies yet. So it's like, ooh. So it's like, yeah, I think all Star Wars kind of struggles with this too to some extent as well. Where it's like we want to be we kind of need to be our own thing, but we're also tying back into the original 9, original 6, mostly the original 3. And it's sort of like that push and pull. It's like it's like the Acolyte with like the Plagueis moment for like 5 seconds. That's your tie-in to the main saga. This is, and The Hobbit's more of a direct prequel to the Lord of the Rings. It's about Bilbo and how he gets the ring, so that's all the setup. And I haven't seen this movie. I don't know really like how this will. I don't think, at least from what I can gather, this is just a piece of history that maybe like has smaller repercussions for ultimately what's going to happen in the original 3 stories, but it's also very detached compared to like, this is about Bilbo's great grandpa, right? So, it's that push and pull between, you have your center of this in the film sense right now, your original 3. And then it's like these kind of spin-off things now we're doing, which is, and sort of like how much, this kind of stands on its own, but also got to set up for like what's to eventually come. It's like, how much you give, how much you take, and how much you can, how do you handle that? And it's not an easy task to follow. And I think, I don't think there is a right answer, unfortunately.
Interesting you mentioned all that because on the way home, I was just reflecting on those Hobbit films.
Which I like, even though they got problems.
Yeah, they're all right. But it's interesting. It's almost like Peter Jackson was trying to replicate what George Lucas was able to do. Like both Din and I have this thing where we say, our friend Din, F105 Music, we say, yeah, George Lucas, he was revolutionary, made this revolutionary trilogy in the 70s and 80s, and then he did it again in the 90s and 2000s, right? Like,
although I actually don't think the prequels are that revolutionary compared to the OT.
Well, because setting the world, but in terms of just the imagination and the brilliance and storytelling. And the fact that they're just so. That's to get back to your weekend Star Wars point. So different. So clearly, presenting a whole other aspect of things, and I wonder if it's almost a testament to the emerging prequelism in Star Wars fandom that Peter Jackson. This is still before really was anything, but Peter Jackson says, "Oh yeah, maybe I should try this too now." And
I kind of doubt that. I don't think so that much.
Maybe okay. I'll just speculate a little, but yeah, it more than for some reason, yes. Even the prequel films do struggle with that a little bit. They've been able to cement themselves as part of the main story in the way the Hobbit trilogy hasn't, and that has other reasons. All the other
time trying to turn a kid's book into an epic saga. That's one problem.
Yeah, and so that problem, and also just having to build in all these other things to lead up to that. Whereas this is the thing is that the prequels really are obviously they lead into and move and push into the Empire and the original trilogy, but it is a compelling story on its own, and that was the big achievement that George Lucas got. The others have tried with big success.
So. Again, I think the biggest flaw is you're trying to turn a 200-page children's novel into a saga. You don't need to do that. At least with Star Wars, it's original. It's like you can have done whatever you like.
That's true.
So there were some production issues along the way too, which didn't help. But I
will say when you War of the Rohirrim, you should watch it. It's really well done, well put together, good story.
Oh, that is one more thing I'll bring about War of the Hero before we move on.
Sure.
That is actually emulating Star Wars because someone brought this up online. It's doing what George did with the Clone Wars. Here's another George connection. Kind of treating the animation live action as equals, right? It's like okay, same universe as the movies at least. So it's like, this is in the Peter Jackson Tolkien verse. It just sounds wrong to say, but it's right. It's like it's animation, but it's like it's not like it's a side thing. Well, I mean, I don't think you need to watch Lord of the Rings, but it's in the same universe. They even like I know Saruman shows up because he did in the trailer. That's not a spoiler. He did in the trailer. It's Christopher Lee's Saruman.
Yeah,
it's just like him. So
I'll just say he didn't need to show up. That's but anyway. Yeah. No. So that's that again. Good film. Really well paced. Really love where the action sequences are in relation to the non-action sequences and the character moments. So yeah. Good film. All right. Speaking of which, there is Star Wars that came out last week, and there's Star Wars coming out about 24 hours from now. Skeleton Crew episode 4. Can't say or remember now what is the name of the episode, and it's caused up some fuss, to put it mildly. I'll give my thoughts. Definitely loved how Neil gets his time to shine. Neil is just in that situation, showing how vulnerability is strength and seeking peace is strength, and not being, he could be accused of not supporting the troops, if you will, but he's actually giving expanding the imagination of the characters in that other planet, that to say, oh yeah, no, we could actually make peace here. Why not? That's all, even though war is all we know. And then Fern with her moment of not being able to hold things together because she's a kid. Come on. And so
people are too hard on Fern. I don't like it. It's like, come on.
Yeah, well, are people? I don't know. I mean, no, fair. Yeah, I bet. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about that now. I mean,
I've seen some people who are too hard on Fern.
They shouldn't be. She's great, and she's just a kid still, right? Like, come on. Yeah. So that part was, those parts were interesting. I think where the big criticisms, what I've heard and what I felt myself is, of this episode specifically, it forced you to accept the world building and that of this other planet a little too much, just why this war is happening, and it didn't actually give us any sort of even exposition. I'm actually a fan of exposition, just to give us a little bit of a sense of this is where this comes from, this is why this happened, so we'll actually care a little more and not have to do more work of just accepting that this is just how this planet is. I think that taps into not a problem but a challenge with this show so far, is we are being faced with more new worlds, more new kind of lore ideas very, very quickly, and more than we're just used to in Star Wars, right? We're used to knowing precisely how this relates to everything in the timeline, what's going on, what happened. We have our theories, and the reason we want those theories is we want it to make sense, want it to be grounded, and so it's just a challenge. I'm not saying it's a bad challenge, but with the previous 3 episodes, except for maybe the pirate stuff a little bit, but even that's just doing different for Star Wars a little bit. We got the Underworld, but
I mean, is that a fan problem that just?
Well, I'm just saying, no, I'm not calling it a problem. So I'm calling it a challenge, right? I'm calling it a challenge, and if you're not up to the challenge, maybe that is a fan problem. But it's a challenge, and the thing is, though, it's making me feel more like Visions. In that, and that's the thing with Visions, is that it just presents you with this whole other world using Star Wars language, visual language, somewhat. And for the most part, and there's some glaring exceptions to that, but with Skeleton Crew, but yeah, so again, that's the challenge of it. And so this episode, I think the challenge did move into problem in that it could have just, okay, give us something new, but actually lead us into it more. And I mean, I'm harping on the problems with it. Also, it kind of ended on a cliffhanger. More than the other episodes, that's something I just like Acolyte episode 4. I think this one will do a lot better in 24 hours when we have episode 5, because it and it's kind of halfway through. So it's the first time in this series where I'm like actually frustrated that it ends. Whereas before they were done a great job. I've said this before, that they've done a great job of not trading the our emotional investment on hiddenness and just teasing mystery, making it more excruciating. This one was a little interesting, different. So yeah.
So I disagree that they need to be explained. I think people who want explanation are missing the point. I don't think this world should have been explained. I think if you explained it, it would have undermined the whole theme, quite frankly.
That war is just useless and senseless.
Not just that, but also technically Neil's wrong about the whole don't fight thing, because ultimately, what, we're going to hug Emperor Palpatine? I think that this works just fine if you just accept the fact these are kids. They're going to, I think you just kind of have to accept that. Also, Star Wars, it's like, well, do you want Star Wars to be just Coruscant and Naboo every time, or,
No, well, even the parts of Coruscant that we haven't seen, right?
I don't know. I just feel like, what's too far? Like, I think this is ultimately why Star Wars can't evolve, is because fans are very backwards looking.
Yeah.
Like, we need more visions, quite frankly. We need, honestly, I'm okay if Star Wars just says one day, let's just destroy canon. Like, we're not going to do canon anymore. We're done.
They did it once.
They did it twice. Yeah. Like, nothing counts anymore, right? Like, this is what I think James Gunn's, I'm going to bring up James Gunn. Like, DC Universe is going to be so interesting, because, like, he's not going to hold anybody to a standard. I mean, obviously, quality standard, but, so what do you mean by standards? Like, if you see Metropolis in his superhero movie, in his Superman movie, and then somebody else does Metropolis, it's going to look completely different. Like, they say the same world, but, like, Metropolis now is all pink and purple, when James Gunn was blue. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. But he's going to be very lucid about it. But also, I don't know. I think the more we learn about that, I don't think the world matters. I don't think it does. I don't think the conflict matters. I think if you just kind of accept that this is just the kid needs to learn a little lesson, and that the world doesn't matter, I think this episode works fine. I think it's sort of their kid-like understanding of this world. I mean, maybe next episode we'll get more of it. I kind of feel like we're about to leave.
Yeah, we are.
I thought for a hot second we were actually back on at, and it's like, wait.
Well, yeah, they played that bait and switch, right?
Yeah, like, we're back already. What the hell? That got me confused. I was like, wait, we're back already? Like, we're gonna do like 4 episodes of just them on at Akron, which I guess, like,
we're not. But
I don't know. I just think people are focusing on the wrong thing, and I don't think the world building was important. Quite frankly, or needed.
I mean, I'll grant your point, especially the point if you're saying it's from the kids' point of view, and kids have a limited understanding of how things work, right? They have a kind of just the way the brains are developed and not developed yet. So I'll grant that part, and we see Jod go off and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a subjective thing. I will say that's why I'm very clear to call them challenges and not problems of this show. They're challenges, and they're challenges that are interesting. It's an interesting challenge that's the thing that Visions presents. This is an interesting challenge of suspending the need to know how things fit. What this show has done well is not compensate, but instead do this other thing of saying, here are these characters, being very clear on who these characters are and what their journey is.
I think it's better than Acolyte episode 4. I understood.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Oh, it's definitely better than Acolyte episode 4. Right. I mean, in Osha turning tail, I mean, yeah, because she just got.
That's May.
Sorry, May. I even flipped them. Goodness, May turning tail because she discovers Osha's alive. Like, come on. But that you needed a lot more. I think we all agree.
Here, I got why Fern was crying. I would cry too if I were in.
Yeah. That's exactly right. The character story is really well put together there. So
yeah, and also nice to see Wim and Fern getting along. That was nice. But
Yeah.
I also because I think again, Neil's whole, we should all stop fighting. It's like that's cute if you're a kid, but it's like there are deeper reasons why people are fighting. There are societal, economic, cultural injustices and blah 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 blah, and that's Neil. That's the that worked for this show. If Andor said that, that is a very different situation. Which is why it's gonna be fun seeing Andor next year, where it's like I don't think Andor's whole thing is like we should all just get along and hug, right? I don't think that's gonna be the moral lesson Andor's spewing there.
No, but I think in a way it was. Well, okay. Sorry, I'll let you finish. Sorry, go ahead.
So it's like I don't maybe if this were more adult, then I would like to know more about this world and why these are fighting. Like, because Detroit don't seem like great people, but then again, I don't know about the other side. They might all be horrible. But it's kind of like maybe that their leader deserves to get the axe for all I know, or get arrested. But it's like the kids aren't going to deal with that. They got to go home. Like maybe they can call up the New Republic and like, hey, there's a weird war going on here. But they're not going to solve the societal injustices of that planet. They just need to get out of there. So maybe knowing more would honestly kind of undermine a moral message that Neil's going, because like it'd be like if they were in evil Germany and saw the camp, like if the evil Germans and the Russians just hugged it out, instead of one side clearly needing to go away forever, let's hug Hitler. There we go. So I think maybe this is where vagueness works.
Well, again, it's from a kid's perspective, and that's the important point. Put that, and then The Last Jedi, where the great pacifist move is from this older, experienced guy who has killed a bunch, then he shows up and sacrifices himself just to let the resistance get away
and fight another day.
And fight another day. This character that was the young, idealistic, naive, and then kind of not quite grizzled, but the traditional understanding of what a hero is. I'm talking about Luke Skywalker, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. What my point there is, it's really important and really poignant that we get it from Neil in his perspective, because yes, there is a very deep naivete about why can't they all just get along, and not respecting differences, not understanding differences.
My difference is I want to destroy your differences. So that's my difference.
Well, and so that's this middle stage. That's the Edgelord, the Darth Edgelord. That's the Gray Jedi dude, bro. That's all these guys get stuck in this moment of, I there is a difference there, but the only way to resolve it is I want to go back to this naive kid view, and it's already safe and protected. But the way forward is actually to say, okay, there's a more complex, robust way of expressing the power of nonviolence as an adult that taps into what is truly great about a kid's perspective, in that fundamentally we're all human. We all want to connect and want to get along. It's just that our fears get in the way. And so here's Neil. We think he is nervous and afraid and anxious, but also able to actually speak his mind and say what he needs to say. And it was, in that way, we do need to listen to kids a little more. Because they question. Sorry, well, kids. My point is that kids have a way of questioning that instant reaction of, this person is different, I must smite them.
Well, unless you're the emperor. or just evil person.
But those that's the thing. Those are the extreme cases. That's the kind of the Godwin's law thing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, most political entities, political communities, at least democracies, ideally, aren't so authoritarian. Most of our lives, at least now, aren't dictated by. I mean, some people will disagree with this. Dictated by authoritarian oligarchs, although there are aspects of it. You know, the debt ceiling. Hello, but
All hail Disney, our overlord.
well, this is the. I mean, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go there. You know, the health insurance shooting in New York. You know, I entirely understand the frustration that he is guilty of causing a lot of suffering through the policies of his insurance company, but also no life is, all life is sacred, and therefore no life deserves to be ended by another. And so to maintain that consistency, we could just really struggle to maintain that consistency, and it'll be really interesting. Anyway, so Neil's that kind of naive kid voice of, yeah, why are you guys fighting? What does it matter? So.
What I will say, I can see maybe one critique, although I have to again, this is where I guess episode 5 will kind of determine. It might be a little easy that George just kind of comes in, saves the day with the cattle. Like, what was that about? Maybe I'm gonna put a pin in that one, because that could be like a something that we might find out later. Because like, where'd you come from, George? That seems very easy and coincidental. That they just like to bargain. Like,
how did he know that?
Just suspicious. But yeah, that's kind of my whole thing about the Neil thing. Neil should go to Syria. Maybe they should all get along. There we go. Anywho. But yeah, that's maybe episode. But hey, if episode 5 of Skeleton was like anything like episode 5 of Acolyte, gonna be great. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, one more thing.
Okay, go for it.
I hate to say this, but I think Star Wars fans, we gotta stop getting too excited about who the directors of these are, because at the end of the day, and I'm sorry, I'm not. I know I said the directors don't matter. They kind of don't, and I mean, obviously, if you get a crap one, that's not good. But I'm sorry, it's like you get these all stars, but that's not how TV or streaming works. The writer's more important than the director, and people like the Daniels and Taika Waititi, they're writer directors. They write their own stuff, and their best stuff is the stuff they write themselves. It's like James Gunn. He is a writer director. He very much has complete control over his material. TV directors are more like kind of like what Gareth Edwards has been doing lately. He doesn't really write his own stuff, but he will direct it and shoot it in a nice way. And that's where a lot of TV directors are like they don't write the episode. Sure. They just direct it, and it's kind of like here's the script. Go by the script. Don't do anything too out there. And then we shoot. That's why they can easily get replaced and moved around. So people are like, it's the Daniels. Look, if Daniels get a Star Wars movie, that's one thing. But a Star Wars TV show, I mean, it'd be fun, but I'm sorry, that's just not how these TV streaming things work. Even if they're great directors.
It's definitely. I mean, I know how TV in the '90s worked, in 2000s. Even a lot of shows. I mean, again, here I bring Star Trek into this, which, by the way, there is a bit of a Star Trek tie-in to this as well, to this episode. But yeah, I mean, directors can come and go and move around. Jonathan Frakes has directed more Star Trek episodes than he's acted in, but we wouldn't know it because, that's a great point in that. The ability to put a stamp on an episode stylistically, they can. I'm sure there are things about cinematography, things about how to bring out a performance in a character and an actor.
Oh, I'm sure.
But but those, I mean, like the tools of the trade, the craft of it. I mean, a director is the lead person on the set, right? The person who leads the team, if you will. So those things that are just skills and talents and qualifications and all those things behind the scenes. Yeah, I think in front of the scene, I do see your point. Is the writers? I mean, yeah, typically with TV, uh, the showrunner and the writers. So yeah, the best. I agree. To put your point on that, that's a great point. Um,
And I'm sure the Daniel brought stuff to the episode. I'm sure like all of them do. I think like one of the things they all have in common is they are good at working with children, which is very important.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, it's like, oh, this is gonna be a wacky episode. It's gonna have a trip out. Like I don't think that was ever gonna happen on the card.
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't that. So that's true. Because I mean, the only thing I've seen of them, I think, is Everything Everywhere All at Once,
right?
Which was fantastic.
Which they wrote and directed.
They wrote it. So, and that's the thing is, here's the question for the writer directors: where does the influence of the writer aspect of it, and the influence of the director aspect start? I don't know.
Yeah, especially on TV. But that's my last point. Sorry if I kept going.
No, it's okay. I just want to say the one little Star Trek note here is it kind of got me thinking about Kirk and Spock in the Mirror Universe, and how be curious to see if what happens here with this girl on this planet now that she's encountered Neil, kind of like how Mirror Spock had encountered Kirk and said, no, there's a better way. And so maybe in the Ray film she'll show up as I don't know.
I would like to see what happens to this planet in 20 years now. I legit would be very curious if Neil had like started a little snowball of
as I'm wondering.
It's sort of like a Mando does that with Navarro, so it's like that'd be cool. Skeleton Crew.
All right, we can move right along. Speaking of someone who is not at all naive in the slightest, doesn't have a naive bone in her body, Mon Mothma, and specifically the Mask of Fear, which comes out on February 25th. What's it called? Reign of the Empire, Mask of Fear. And the at Star Wars by RHW, Random House World Star Wars account, I should say, they tweeted out some interesting quotes from this novel by Alexander Freed that releases February 25th. We're going to bring these up now and look at them, see what comes of this, see if I can actually read this. There you go, full screen there, Matthew. So here's this first one. This is just the narrator talking, I guess, maybe about Mon Mothma. Maybe accepting the truth was the start. Her fear was her only source of reassurance. Her fear told her she hadn't yet become numb to atrocity and injustice. So she wrapped her fear around her, clung to it like hope, and watched the city in the night. I'm wondering when this is, because she hadn't yet become numb to atrocity and injustice. Almost her fear. I'm trying to parse this out. I don't know. So what do you think of this quote?
I mean, isn't this supposed to take place like a day after Revenge of the Sith?
I think so. I meant to look up when this is set, but I know
this is set like close. A day after. Like
yes,
this is the Mon Mothma version of the Charles Soule book.
Okay, yeah. So maybe accepting the fear that the Republic had slid into atrocity and justice. I mean that is a key to her drive, in that things are going south, and therefore if I continue to feel that fact, that'll motivate me into action. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, kind of what it was one way that good can use evil is by pushing for a greater good. You see the cracks in the foundation. You want to actually the right people will want to actually get to the repairs. So Mon Mothma is certainly that. What about this quote struck you?
I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting quote. I think because of Andor and Rogue One a little bit, and we'll get to this when we get to the final quote, if it's on there. I think it is. Mon Mothma is about to go through an arc, and I think I don't want to say she's in denial. That'd be harsh, but I think she very much. There's almost too much of an idealism of the powers of the institution in the Senate that I think over time she starts to not lose faith in per se, but realize that these tools no longer will be able to function the way they can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's almost like a hope that maybe right now she can work within this empire to make its worst instincts timid.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, she starts to realize, oh no, I can't. You can't defend the empire from the emperor. It's one and the same. It all has to go. Gotta go bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that right now, Mon Mothma was trying to kind of almost just come to grips with the fact that the entire political spectrum of the galaxy had just been turned topsy turvy and upside down. And we're now in the Mirrorverse, Mirror universe. They quote Star Trek, the Mirror universe. It's all horrible. So yeah, that's kind of my take on this first Mon Mothma quote.
And it's interesting you mentioned that she more than anyone represents a move towards. I mean, almost moving back. I don't want to say back towards institutions, but towards a future set of institutions in the New Republic that can actually do what people need them to do. Obviously that is difficult, and she knows how difficult that is. She's not naive about that. That's the incredible thing about her, but she does her darndest about it anyways. And hopefully we're going to continue to see stories of that. But here's of the New Republic, of her trying to build this government. But
she's not building the government. She's trying to
through leading. Oh, as in like during the Mandoverse. I mean,
right.
But that we're getting a whole bunch of story before that of her losing that, or becoming aware of how the old Republic had fallen so far. So yeah, move along to the next quote. And this kind of is, I believe, the counter argument here.
Oh, isn't there a Bale quote in here somewhere?
Yeah, there is.
Can we do that second? Actually, let's do Saul last.
Okay,
I think. Okay. Because that's how they were shown on.
I think it's kind of out of order here. So this is the Bail Organa one. We tried hiding everything good and decent under a cloak of self-interest, and we failed because we never gave people a reason to do what was harder. Sorry. To fight for what really mattered. I'm going to try this again. I just yawned. We failed because we never gave people a reason to do what was hardest, to fight for what really mattered. There may be times that deception is necessary, but it's not how we win. And yeah, that really speaks to another reason how they're coming to grips with how the Republic fell. In that, they played the political game, and they had all the this good and decent under the cloak of self-interest, almost the reverse of what we think, right? We think self-interest, you say, I need this thing to happen for my own political career, but I'm going to make the argument that it's for the greater good. Here it's almost the opposite. They have to play this game of Alderaan. I mean, even during the Empire, that they're shoring up resources. Why are they shoring up and upholding this very powerful monarchy? Why are they doing it? So they can be able to finance this rebellion, right? That seeing Bale kind of realize this, that I mean, it works out because, well, actually, here's the interesting thing: it works out once Leia is full on, and once it's very clear that they are funding the rebellion. It costs them literally everything, but it ends up. I mean, Leia is the one who ends up being the leader of the rebellion. Yeah, that here that. Here's a real world parallel. I know the election, there's so many reasons for it, for what happened in November. One of them is, this is a good description of the Democratic Party right now, I think, in that there's a lot of, a lot of this just push to the center, this push to the right, even, and saying, with self-interest, I own a Glock, and they're going to defend the border, when what people really care about, what they really want, is building a safe and healthy political community, and they haven't tapped into that. And so you know, yeah, sometimes you can say I own a Glock just to get votes potentially, but it really did present a compelling argument. So very, very timely by Alexander Freed here, in that comment. So anyway, what about this quote did you find interesting?
Yeah, so a couple things. First off, friend of the show, Corey Datapad of Corey Loses Their Datapad.
Mm-hmm.
He's read the book. I didn't have any spoiled, but like very good. If you love Revenge of the Sith, he said you're gonna love this book.
That's what I've heard. My copy is right over there in my room. I'm gonna start it.
Oh, you have that's right. You have a copy.
Yeah, from New York Comic Con. Yeah.
God dang it! I want a copy. I wanted to a copy. We're gonna do a review of this. I'm making this statement right now. This is our chance to do.
We haven't done one in a while, so yeah.
That too. Yeah. What? That's one thing. And he brings up also kind of like we're gonna see the dynamic between Mon, Saw, and Bale, who are our three Eisen characters.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of the troika. Not troika for Russian fans, but they're the tributative of the Rebel Alliance. They're kind of the unofficial founding fathers and mothers.
Yeah.
Of the rebellion. And I'm going to be very curious to see like how all three of them probably will like agree and disagree, and also where they kind of come at it. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be because like I don't think it's just going to be like, oh, here are Bale and Mon, they're senators, so they think exactly the same. There's crazy Saw over there doing crazy Saw thing. I think it will be, at least my hope and the nuances to be like, there will be moments where weirdly Saw and Mon are on the same, Saw and Mon are on the same side against Bale and Saw against Mon, and then maybe Bale and Mon against Saw. Like all three of them like having moments of like.
Mm-hmm.
I come from here, you come from there. Then no, I don't like you, Bale, right now, Monson. And thought like I'm on, kind of like all three of them had kind of back and forth their different perspectives of the rebellion. And I kind of am curious, like what this hints in terms of like Bale's approach compared to Mon's in terms of like how far he's willing to go with certain things. There was little hints of that in Leia, Princess of Alderaan, where it seemed like. I always forget, like, Mon was more willing to go further in places than Bale was. Bale wanted to be more cautious, and, like, Mon was more willing to use Saw on moments, stuff like that, and vice versa. So that's interesting. Another interesting thing is I kind of wonder if Alexander Freed will use any of some of the stuff that was hinted in the old Revenge of the Sith novelization, where apparently during... I forget if it's Padme who brought this up or not, where... I think it's both Bale and Padme were kind of like their strategy for this empire now was like, look, we're going to have to take votes we don't like. We're going to like be good senators. We're going to, wave our little empire flags because, Bale was like, I'm going to probably say and do some stuff that sounds very pro-Palpatine, very imperial, but I'm only doing it because, I got to stay alive to to funnel the real radical here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious if like maybe Mon's more willing to be more like the loyal opposition to the Empire, where Bale's a little bit more like kind of I carried I got my Palpatine picture on my office. So kind of take their approach, even though we know as the audience that Bale is on the right side. It's just he's more willing to legitimate the Empire right now, while Mon is a little bit more willing to be overly critical, but in a way that's like where Palpatine's like, oh, he's just yapping, just let her talk, who doesn't matter. She has no real power, and almost not be taken seriously. So I'll be that's what I'm very curious, kind of see these three work together, but also disagree. Again, I want Bale and Mon to butt heads. I don't want them to just be near the senator ones. Like I want them to be like, no, we gotta do this, and then no, we gotta do that, right? Because that's coalitions for you.
Yeah, that's real life. What's interesting to remember, and I'm just noticing how much of this, my perception of this, is what we know about what happens 20 years after this. Probably because that's just all we know. Of course, Mon Mothma is the one who leaves the Senate. Bale stays in. Bale dies a sitting senator, right? Or I guess his daughter is, or at least or yeah,
he's still legitimate in the eyes of the law.
Yeah, in that way, and I mean Leia this is a consular ship. Why are you attacking a consular ship, Vader? What's going on here? we're good, right? We're good.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so this quote is really interesting because in a way it's saying they continue to cloak, whereas Mon Mothma doesn't, and it's just a uh matter of strategy, matter of tactics. Mon Mothma does for a while. I think there's one more quote, and then we go to the Saw quote here.
Okay.
And this kind of gets at the internal struggle, the internal character here. Mon told herself that in the morning, when the sun rose and it came time to work, this is the narrator here, she would let it all go. Her fears, her dreams, and her love for the Republic she'd believed in. She would leave it behind. The galaxy would be different. She would remain unbound, unwielding, indomitable. And I'm wondering, just thinking this, I'm wondering if this is actually meant to be held as a strength, or is it meant to be held as a potential compromise? In that, could she just be inflexible and unable to hear Saw's point about the corruption of the Empire, to hear Bail saying got to work through things. You let it all go. Her fears, her dreams, her love for the Republic. I mean, I almost wonder if this is a moment of temptation to give in, but then there's the point at the end, unbound, unyielding, indomitable. I don't want to know. I mean, that's the thing, is it raises
Context.
these. Yeah, we don't know what the context of these are, so very fascinating. What struck you about this one?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of, you got to remember, a lot of the first generation of rebel leaders who aren't Saw Gerrera or locals, like kind of more, they're all former Imperials who fought in the Clone Wars as Republic officers. Draven, General Dodonna. That is their World War One. That's their trial by fire. But
Wars that just ended at this point.
Right, they're still officers in now the Imperial Navy, and kind of the brilliance of Palpatine and his Empire at the end of the day is, if you're not paying attention, it's just the Republic. It's just right. Like if you are bureaucrat number 3000 going to work, what really has changed outside of maybe a new flag and a big Palpatine picture in front of your desk? Right? It's like you're still in the Bureau of Toilets, just going to your cubicle, signing the papers like every day. It's just now it's called the Imperial instead of Republic Bureau of Sanitation, right? So like, if you're not paying attention, it's just the Republic. Just now, it's just the Chancellor, the head of the Senate, now this Emperor. It's like this is the Rome parallel. Where it's like they never called it the Roman Empire. It's just Caesar never called himself emperor. It's just he was first citizen, and he just held the title for 35 years. But like Rome operated the same. The bureaucrats didn't change, and it's eventually, as the empire got worse and worse and worse, that's when people start to realize. That's when people like General Draven and Dodonna realized, oh, this is not the Republic I fought for or the values I fought for. I'm out of here. Meanwhile, your Laurens, your Veerses, your Pelions, they're like, no, we're staying. We like this. It's good. We're sticking with it. We're pro Palpatine here, which again is like the Republic and the Empire, the same thing. It's just one is the more darker half. The Empire is the dark side of the Republic, but they're still the same thing.
I mean, it speaks to how far the Empire, the Republic, had slid. That it that George Lucas classic quote: "Democracies aren't stolen; they're given away." How much democracy the Republic had given away by that point that it's indistinguishable from this repressive empire in so many ways. Obviously, in some ways it was, but yeah, it's really fascinating. Really building on just what George gave us, and that's what this book seems to be brilliantly doing. The last one here, or this is the slide here. One thing to say though is, one thing that's interesting about this quote though is that the the presence of the separatists in the Rebel Alliance, I think part of the effect of it was to make them realize, oh yeah, the Republic had already become so corrupt that they do need to actually separate and be apart in order to actually change things. Of course, different motivations here, and Saw, of course, finds himself on the other side of that. Here, Saw is probably talking to Mon, maybe talking to Bale. I don't know. You debate in the Senate while people are dying. You have the habits of a people at peace, but there is no peace. You talked about treaties with the separatists. The separatists never wanted a treaty. Now you seek to remove the emperor's power through law, but the emperor doesn't care about law. And that's what you're saying, but you can't save the empire from the emperor. There you go. You seem to have a lot of energy around this quote before it.
Oh, well, I mean, he's right about the emperor, right? It's like, and this is kind of right. This is kind of where I've kind of had this epiphany that I think, in a weird way, Saul wins the argument of the rebellion, even if he doesn't live to see it. Because ultimately, I look at Rogue One. What is the rebels' plan in Rogue One? Get Galen Erso, prove the Death Star exists, go to the Senate, show them, hope they do something.
Right.
Ultimately, that doesn't happen. Ultimately, Mon, Bale, that Rebel Alliance leaders eventually all come to realize there is no get the Senate to vote the Emperor out of office. Sure. The Emperor dissolves the Senate by that time as well. Eventually, they're like, no, we have to kill this guy. We have to destroy him. We have to destroy the stormtroopers, the Imperial Navy, the institutions of the Empire.
To burn it all down.
The army, the ISB, the things that Palpatine built around the Republic. And in a weird way, the Rebel Alliance kind of becomes less of this weird pressure group that has an army to, no, this is more of a revolution now. This is now time to topple the statues, storm the palace, take down burn the flags of the Empire once and for all. Optimally, the good, nice thing for the galaxy, at least at the time, was at least there was somebody to fill in the power vacuum. But Saw kind of does win the argument of where the rebellion can't really outvote the Emperor. They can't get the Senate to kind of put the brakes on the authoritarians. And at the end of the day, it kind of is a war. Ultimately, it's how we conduct that war. But the philosophy behind it, I think, Saul's right. The Emperor doesn't care about the law. He's a freaking Sith Lord. He'll just zap the law. Eventually, he'll build his Death Star. He'll have his Sith clone armies ready to go. The law, he doesn't care. He'll tear it up. I will say, though, I think the one interesting thing where maybe Saw is, where I'll be curious to see how the book handles this, is the Separatist. Because there's sort of a double-edged sword about this one. Where on one hand, Separatists were never going to sign a treaty because Count Dooku was a Sith Lord, and this is all part of Palpatine's plan. He's manipulating the Separatists. So ultimately, the Separatists have an institutional organization with the droid armies and Grievous and the Council. They're not going to sign a separate peace treaty. That's all part of the plan. They're just as corrupt and evil.
They're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to. They're all. But individual Separatist worlds, your Neovoltaries, that one person from Bad Batch, your local commanders, your local militias groups that were part of the Separatists. And maybe some of them did, but they weren't. They didn't know. They got fooled. Some of them probably were more aware of Dooku's machinations. Others probably just thought, we're taking it and thought Dooku was right, and then ultimately, we know he's not. So that's where maybe Saul's a little bit kind of letting his bias, and ultimately Saul's got his own bias. He's against the Separatists because they killed his sister. Yeah, he's not happy with them. So, but there's certainly a little bit of maybe, I don't know. Maybe you're not 100% right. Well, they were never going to. But when it comes to the Emperor, he's right. And Palpatine doesn't respect the law, and the law is not going to get rid of Palpatine. He is the law. He is the Senate at the end of the day. So that's where he's right on that front.
I mean, again, at the end of the day, Mon Mothma ends up agreeing, which is the wild thing. We see this in Rebels. we see them debating. We see them on having a difference of views, even in terms. I mean, that's in terms of civilian casualties and what kind of measures. Mon had already left by then, but she does end up agreeing that that institution, those institutions are not. You can't. There's nothing to be done in them.
Reform the Stormtrooper Corps. Make them nicer.
It makes me wonder, though. I really wonder if Saw survived, what he would think of the New Republic. Would he be willing to play ball, or would he still be on the outs? And I can't help but wonder if he'd still be on the outs. And part of the reason I think of that is, his bias against the separatists. There are going to be separatists in the Rebel Alliance. And like you said, it'd be interesting to see how he deals with them. Those who do agree with him that these Coruscant-controlled institutions, whatever label you want to put on it, Republic or Empire, are all about consolidating power at the expense of those on the periphery. And is he going to actually be able to sit down and listen to them and find common cause with them? We do know Lux Bonteri, but Lux Bonteri goes all over the place in his allegiances. He ends up taking over the partisans, but maybe that is a clue at something. But I just think about this is the other side of this is in the real world, I think things are often more complicated. That's the thing about getting it with Neil and Luke Skywalker is, I don't. I mean, I think there are some certain president-elect that is definitely going to cause problems, and there's the potential for even worse. But I don't know about like this the world threat that a Hitler presents, that a Palpatine presents. Yeah, there's kind of alliances. We never do, and that's true. But I think certain kind of proxy wars going on in different places. I think, especially about in terms of our discourse about those things in the West. Maybe I've talked about this even on this podcast. The way people are drawn into one narrative of a conflict because it has not having nothing to do with the full complex picture of the facts on the ground, but because of their own skin in the game or not, or supposed sense of place and sense of home. They kind of just visceral emotional things. They aren't willing to let facts get in the way of a good story. And I wonder if Saw Gerrera in some level, in terms of separatists, in terms of his that debate he continues to have with Mon Mothma till his dying breath, is he's least still letting not going to let the fact that some of those institutions might be necessary. And so not the imperial institutions, but a Senate and a gathering around a table to actually discuss things and talk things out is necessary for the common good. I think he's gonna not let that get in the way of a good story that we need to fight now. We need to go kill somebody. And so that's another tension. I mean, that's the tension in the whole rebellion that I think Rian Johnson, for example, brilliantly brings up is, our heroes are in the original trilogy are these characters who go and kick some Imperial tar, but this bring it all back. Is that fully what heroism is about? Is that fully what this kind of assumption that it's all about taking action, taking violent action? I love that when the whole classic Project Luminous whiteboard, Star Wars, not pro-war. And Saw Gerrera is this reminder that Mon Mothma is a reminder, Bail Organa is a reminder that there are these extreme circumstances in the world that people might find in history that people found themselves in. But uh, those are. It could be if it's a necessary evil, it's still an evil, and I think Saw is not willing to see warfare as an evil so much. So.
Well, I mean, this is where I always say, if you're looking to Star Wars, get your political ideology from. Don't.
Sure. Yeah.
It's because it's not, it's like
it's a space fantasy. It's true.
Like, and people do this with all sorts of fiction. And I like, look, there's a place for fiction, sure, but like, the world's more complicated than that. It ain't run by Sith Lords, and even most authoritarian regimes aren't like the Empire. Like, very few are. They just want to make money and maybe just a little bit of oppression. In fact, actually, I don't want to turn this into a whole tangent, but like, actually, most authoritarian regimes are not that over the top repressive. They can be, but
only for a certain segment of people they are. But
for a certain segment of people, obviously. But like, like, there's a difference between what's going on in Myanmar with like and Hungary right now.
Sure.
Very different, night day. But so that's that. Oh shoot, I had a point about Saw and I lost it. I remember now. And Saw, it's like, I think one thing I always think about in terms of like Saw's point of view and his tactics and whatnot is when he kills Moff Panaka. Panaka, because it's sort of like, on the one, because as far as he's concerned, it's like, you're an Imperial, you got the badge, you die, don't care. Unless you're defecting, you're an enemy, you're everyone's a target. Well, Bale is like, maybe we should have kept him alive. He could have been an ally, maybe, or something. Bale's like, I don't care if like he was a moderate or not. Which, I mean, I understand. It's like, at some point, it's like, there are no moderates in authoritarian regimes to a certain extent. You either support it or you don't. If you were a good person, why didn't you defect? Like, that's why I don't think Ray Sloane's a good Imperial. She didn't defect. She knows what's going on. If you're a good person, you defect. Right? You don't. Like,
ultimately, in that context,
you didn't defect. Eventually,
like Bale defected effectively.
Oh yeah, I mean, Bale, he defected, in reality, right? Yeah. Like, but it's like, Sloane never did. She became a Grand Admiral, for Pete's sake. But so it's sort of like, is everyone a target, or are we going to be a little more cautious? Like, are there standards we should keep because they might help? It's complicated. I'm sure the book will do stuff.
Yeah. Really excited. This has gotten me going. I'm gonna pick this up. I'm not gonna stick it in my suitcase because it's pretty chunky, and it's soft cover. So
if you get two, send it my way.
Well, I was only able to get one. Well, I was able to get one for a friend here who is the most for Ash, who's the most biggest Mon Mothma fan in the universe. So I got that one for her. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely read this in January in time so we can actually have a review in February. Hopefully.
Is this coming out in January? When does that
comes out February 25th.
Okay, yay. Well, I just have to listen to the audio drama.
Yeah, so there we go. Probably March, more realistically, when we'll do this review. There we go. All right. First up, happy holidays. We're looking forward to it. How's it going? Unboxing. Although I gotta say, this is the second Black Series that I've ever unboxed. I'm not an unboxer, but to each their own. How's it going there? There we go.
Things in the box.
There we go. Yeah. But yeah, thanks you guys for joining us. We got one little last thing to do. As promised, the main topic. Finally get into this. We have about 40 minutes, so let's dive into this. Get through this kind of quickly as best we can. Right. Star Wars in 2024. Looking back on our favorite stories in the year that was in 2024. Joel, you take it away.
Right, 2024, quite a year. So let's just get through it. Are you able to stream what we're showing?
Yeah. So I guess like I forget what group, the Holo Files.
Yes, Holo Files has made a nice little poll for us.
Yeah, and they're a good follow on Twitter and all the socials. So they got a poll, that is works pretty well. So I'll bring that up here.
There we go. Shall we just begin with the first one?
Actually, yes, 1 second. I gotta get myself organized here. Yes. So let's go for it.
Okay.
I'll let you tee this one up. just let's talk about just a little bit, kind of the category, if you will, and look back on what the category that was. So go for it.
Well, the category for this is what was the best show of 2024. A bit of an unfair question considering Skeleton Crew is still going. Yeah. But it could be the next 5 episodes could be the most amazing thing ever. It's like, holy moly. So a little unfair already, but okay. And the choices are The Bad Batch Season 3, Tales of the Empire, The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and Young Jedi Adventures. Okay, I'll go first. I think this is hard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go though with Bad Batch Season 3. I think because it's the final season. We had 2 seasons to build up. I really liked it. And I missed my batch. Yeah, but hard choices.
Yeah, I mean, and part of this is
3 of a series.
Sure.
So
I mean, it had a big advantage, for sure. And had all that weight behind it. It really went dark. It went darker than we thought it would, with these kids being experimented on. Had these really showed the connection to the wider universe, whatnot. I think, and really, what was the best is really what's your favorite? Which one did you like the most? It's kind of the way I'm approaching it. I'm approaching it subjectively, and so for that reason, I mean, I think I got to go with Tales of the Empire.
That would be a good one.
The way it, especially, the Barriss episodes are, finally giving us that answer of what happened to her, and it's just so compelling. Like, it's just such a gripping, she becomes an inquisitor, but realizes, no, this isn't even why I bombed the temple. Right? It even playing with I know it's just these short lips of playing with our expectation about what the second sister or whatever, another Mary Allen. No, it's realizing at her core, she seeks the good of the galaxy. And so that means, given what she's done, she has to atone and be, she did take this very immature, destructive path, right? Like talking about the edgelord thing. So no, I'm going to atone and become a healer and seclude myself. Also, a way to survive during the dark times. And so, yeah, especially the Barriss episodes, but the Morgan episodes are interesting, being honed as
Great Thrawn moment.
The great Thrawn moment. Being kind of standing toe to toe with him, but also being honed as like that's the one where we get the the aftermath of Grievous in the Clone Wars, and how that pushes her to these lengths. So it's hard to judge. It's almost apples and oranges. That's the problem. This is like Bad Batch season 3 is a whole season of just this methodical, not methodical and heroic, Omega becoming the hero of her own story despite her age. But yeah, here's Barriss recapturing the power of being a hero. So there you go. Also, I gotta say, yeah, definitely in the comments, please do let us know Bad Batch season 3. Yeah, Skeleton Crew, it's coming up. Skeleton Crew could be coming. It's
not done yet, so
so it's hard. It depends on what counts. Yeah, the Acolyte, man, it should have. That's the thing. It should have been the best.
I'll be curious to see. I'll be curious to see though if we had not put these. Well, you probably would show the Tales of the Empire anyway. If Bad Batch season 3 were on this list, I'll be curious to see if we come back after Skeleton Crew's done. Just say like, what did we like better, Skeleton Crew or the Acolyte, and see which one we like better overall as a season of TV. I don't know. It's the next 4 episodes.
You go really south. I mean, again, I love the Acolyte, and don't get me wrong, especially. I mean, we'll get to what I really love, but yeah.
But yeah. Next, what was the best single episode of Star Wars television of 2024?
There's a good segue.
Okay.
I mean, I have my answer.
You know,
You guys all know my answer.
Okay, well,
We'll go for it.
I'm gonna go with Bad Batch episode 3
Okay.
because I like seeing Palpatine and Project Necromancer get mentioned, and I think that was amazing. That was lots of interesting intrigue, and I watched that scene a lot. So
yeah, I believe you.
that's I don't know what that episode's called. So I'm just gonna call it Bad Batch season 3, episode 3.
You even remember that it's episode 3. I mean, again, that's the moment. That's where my mind went to. It's great you brought that up. My mind went to what made the season really great. The perfect balance of telling it the story it's telling and tapping into the wider galaxy. So again, to put Bad Batch season 3, I mean it's a close second there.
Again, unfair skeleton crew. Who knows? The next 4 episodes could be the best thing ever. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, so I just talked about the Acolyte, being uneven and implied it being uneven, and episode 4 being half an episode and all that. The one right before it, the one right before it, that episode 3, I've gushed about it multiple times. I think some things will be forgotten about this. I mean, I don't know. I think about the Plagueis. I think some things might be, they won't get the attention. I'm gonna remember watching episode 3 and just, I can't wait for the chaos. I'm so excited for the chaos because I just love how I'm gonna repeat myself when this came out, how utterly relentless it was. It completely refused to affirm your bias, my bias, everyone's bias. It completely refused to affirm it by just giving you just enough to say, oh yeah, maybe the thing you're bringing into it could be right. Maybe the thing you're bringing into it about the Jedi needing to have this kind of police these wayward witch covens, could be right. Maybe it was, oh, the Jedi are this repressive evil institution, and here's this brave heroic witch coven standing up for good. It's maybe it's was it Osha is being brainwashed by these Jedi who are just up to no good, interfering, meddling in the affairs of local governments, local communities, rival religions, or they're scared of scared of things that are different. Or why is this witch coven kind of having these weird rituals and keeping these kids against their will? All these different things, and it's everything. The more important question, I love how it asks the question of what everyone themselves thinks that episode is about. It was just such a special moment. Yeah, we kind of lose it overall, and no, I knew we would lose it when the mystery would get revealed and everything, but that was the one where I loved sitting with a lack of answers. I love how, it really pressed home that we all, here's a Bible quote for you. We all see through a mirror darkly. None of us really know, and we need to actually have the mirror, put the mirror up against us and say, okay, what do you actually think? In the way Last Jedi did in a lot of ways, right? And I think this is what you think heroism is, but even more relentlessly refusing to affirm anyone's bias. So
what's funny is I didn't see any of that chaos. Most of the people who I saw that episode said it was just pointless. Like, why does this even exist? Like,
there's the chaos right there, right? I think that's
kind of bother talking about the Jedi. It's like they just talk about this episode even need to exist. They didn't even engage with it.
Like they thought like it just didn't move the plot forward, or
pretty much, yeah. It's like, oh, we already know all this. Move the plot forward.
Interesting.
That's what I heard most.
Yeah, that's too bad because then they're not really thinking on that. Sorry I'm going to be salty about that. Like, thinking on the philosophical level.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, that's a good episode. Yeah. All right, the long list.
Yeah. Well, this quote. Hold on, just get to this quote here. Yeah. Again, looking at different Jedi, different aspects, and this transition moment from the High Republic to the Late Republic, and how, we have Jedi. The Council themselves are able to be more responsible. But yeah, like you're saying here, Renestra, what happened to you? Who hurt you? Our girl Vern. So yeah, anyway, moving on.
Right. All right. The next big long list, and probably one that okay, probably one you have more answers to than I do. Okay. What is the best Star Wars comic of 2024? I wish Chris was here. All right, here we go. The High Republic, Shadow of Starlight. Darth Vader, Star Wars Mainline. The Mandalorian Season 2 comic adaptation. Bounty Hunters. Obi-Wan Kenobi comic adaptation. The High Republic. Thrawn Alliances. Dr. Aphra. Mace Windu. The High Republic Adventures. Jango Fett. Visions. Takashi Okazuki 1. The High Republic Adventures. Saber for Hire. Darth Vader. Black, White, and Red. Inquisitors. Darth Maul. Black, White, and Red. Ahsoka comic adaptation. The Acolyte. Kilnaka. The High Republic Adventures. Echoes of Fear. Bab Jakku. The High Republic Adventures. Dispatches from the Inclusion Zone. Or other.
Forgot Ewoks. Well, don't forget Ewoks.
Ewoks. Ewoks. There you go. Thank you. Well, clearly, the correct answer is the Obi-Wan Kenobi comic adaptation. Of course, the greatest thing.
Not the Ahsoka one? Not the Ahsoka adaptation? Not the Mando Season 2 adaptation?
Brilliant. Thrawn Alliances. It's not even finished.
I shouldn't laugh at that. There might be. I think there are serious reasons why that. But yeah, it's still funny.
Okay, I'm kidding. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going with Jakku. I think I've enjoyed Jakku the most.
It's not even finished yet either. But go ahead.
Okay, this is the one time I'm going to pick a non-finished one.
Yeah.
But I have enjoyed every moment of it for the most part. It's just nice to be in this era again.
Mm-hmm.
I actually kind of forgot where we were starting when we did Star Wars Invader last year, so I don't remember much of the beat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, this is okay. This is the one time I'm going to pick an unfinished one. I did read on and off Star Wars Invader, depending on what was going on. But yeah, I think that's probably the one I'm going to pick. Mm-hmm. That's at least, even though it's not finished. Maybe you'll pick. You read more that are finished, so I'm sure you probably got a better answer than I do. But yeah, that's my pick.
Well, actually, it was hard for me to pick, and because this was actually, I mean, this was the most pivotal year, most momentous year for Star Wars comics since 2015. Right, it saw the end of the era of the writing from Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi that began in 2020 and all the way down until I guess kind of September, October, I forget, of 2024. So it definitely, it really had to wrap up all these great storylines and push things to Return of the Jedi. I admit I had struggled. One thing I thought of picking was Dr. Aphra. That's a bit of a cheat because there was only one issue of Dr. Aphra in 2024. Was the last issue, and it is fantastic. Alyssa Wong knocked out of the park. This is the definitive Dr. Aphra comic, but I don't think it really counts. What I wish they'd done is divided in terms of book length, and so best long form comic, best mini series or whatnot. And it's hard for me to answer this. Shoot, like I actually don't know. Maybe I'll do that. I'll break it down. Best long form probably would go with Vader. Again, like I mentioned before, Greg Pak really goes into this one Vader especially does the most in bringing us to that moment on the Death Star between Anakin and Luke. Really goes into what Luke means for Vader. There's this great moment. Vader goes to this crystal place. It's not an Exegol, it's somewhere else. And sees this recording, if you will, of Luke. Kind of being angsty about having, like, kind of what I think Luke angsty about having to kill and having to be violent, and is he following the dark side? And there is Vader saying, here's my opportunity, but also always under the surface with Greg Pak's writing here was this question of this is the son of Padme. Can I truly resist him? he has just resisted me, and that's the thing. It came right on the heels of Bespin, of Cloud City. Luke has just says no, it's impossible. Chucks himself down the chute, not knowing what would happen. Few years later, years later in comic form, not really, but shortly after, Sabe shows up, and Sabe, looking like Padme, represents all that, and so it was really brought forward. And then, of course, in 2024, we have. I'm trying to remember what the arcs. Well, we have the Schism Imperial, first of all. And then we have everything that Luke representing Luke showing up in this comic book, and the Schism Imperial being, I think what I said this like on Tractor Beam this past week, I believe. Vader tries to be, I said this in light of the Legacy of Vader comic. Vader tries to transcend the fray, but then you have all these other characters trying to pull them down. And it was really just this fascinating kind of Vader embracing the ambiguity. This is basically what it is. And Greg Pak really goes into this. Maybe I'm getting into this now. There's a really great job of Vader embracing the ambiguity of sorry, word here, brain fog here. Basically, the ambiguity of saying, I need Luke. I'm a Sith Lord. It's too late. I have to destroy my master. I need Luke to become my apprentice in order to do that, so I can take over the Empire. And Luke is the son of Padme. Luke is my hope, my dream for a good future, for a meaningful future. Can I actually find it within myself to remember who this Anakin Skywalker character is? And so, it really, really compelling way of going into that whole question. Obviously Charles Soule, I'd say, did it in more profound way, but that's got to be my vote as a standout. I mean, I agree. Battle of Jakku is we're 2/3 of the way in, and it's going by very fast, but it's understandable, situated. I gotta go. This will preface my favorite book, my favorite novel of the year, but got a shout out to High Republic Avengers: Echoes of Fear. Wreath and Amadeo researching the Nameless. This one goes back, Old Republic. This goes back to Phase 2. This one goes back to everything I'm looking forward to with High Republic and was looking forward to. Wreath uncovering, using history and science to figure out what the Nameless is doing. So really, good shout out there. Hard thing to answer, hard question to answer, because there's so many different options.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, next one.
Well, I don't want to. So them all, no favorite. But what you have read, let me know. Your beast towards a few of these, I'm afraid. Yes, there we go. Thank you. Appreciate the judging. Well, I mean, again, what are these? Let us know what stands out to you in these comics. What do you appreciate there? As always. Yeah. So, all right, keep on moving on. Go for it.
All right. What about the best Star Wars book show? That doesn't make any sense.
The typo.
What was the best Star Wars book of 2024? The High Republic: Defy the Storm by Tessa Granton and Justin Island. High Republic: Contagion of the Force by Tessa Granton. High Republic: Tears of the Nameless by George Mann. Living Forest by John Jackson Miller. Oh, right, that was this year. Mm-hmm. Mace Windu: The Glass Abyss by Steve Barnes. High Republic: Escape from Valo by Daniel Jose and Alyssa Wong. The High Republic: Beware the Nameless by Zoraida Cordova. Yeah. The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire by Chris Kempshaw. The Secret of Clone Troopers by Mark Sumerek. Star Wars Bestiary, Volume 1 by S.T. Bendy. The Star Wars Encyclopedia, The Comprehensive Guide to the Star Wars Galaxy by Dan Brooks, Megan Kors, Amy Radcliffe, Amy Radcliffe, Brandon
Wainerdy, I think.
Wainerdy, Dan Zare, and Kelly Knox.
Mm-hmm.
Or other. I didn't know there was a mysterious one that we didn't know. So here's the thing. I've read at least almost all of these except for Valo, Beware the Nameless, and the Mace Windu one. I am currently reading Tears of the Nameless. I'm on chapter 14. But I know already that that's not going to change my answer because I already know what my book is. Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire by Dr. Chris Shaw. It is the greatest thing ever. I have it on my bed every night, and I would read a little bit of it every day. It is my favorite book of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Full stop.
Oh yeah, I think this is honestly my favorite thing.
I believe you, but that's
at least
amazing.
To Star Wars. Yeah, this is kind of everything I've always wanted in a Star Wars book. It's an in-universe history novel about the Empire. It's like takes the world building so seriously and just synthesizes it all so nicely. It's like really put into perspective every story you ever read from Star Wars, at least in the episode 1 to episode 9 time frame. Not much High Republic here, though I do think there's like a Nile reference. Not that there really needs to be much. But yeah, this is. Everyone says this is not. I don't think anything else is going to beat it this year. This is my favorite thing ever. Highly recommend, especially if you're like me and you're a big history nut. So yeah, I loved it. Great stuff.
Given any other book, if you picked out any other book, I would have said, "Here's the Nameless" as a shot at supplanting it. That's the one book that doesn't. that I definitely believe you, knowing what you're interested in, what you think about. Yeah, definitely tracks. Can see very much why you love that book. And on a similar note, right, what I was just talking about with Echoes of Fear. I will say, looking at all these Phase 3 books, Phase 3 low key is the most consistent. It's the most well paced, most building
I haven't
up.
Enjoyed it that much, honestly. So I'm in the minority. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, having read all of Phase 2, that definitely builds into it. Definitely, all these choices, and also the Living Force. I haven't read Gloss Abyss yet. I do have that one as well. Can use it on screen. I don't know if it's on screen anymore, but I mean, I have Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire. It's pretty good. As I was implying with Echoes of Fear, you read Tears of the Nameless, and you get to, well, first of all, you get to a point in that novel that I've been waiting for ever since I learned about who Reith was and what he was about. Like Reith Silas for me is Beaumont Kin for you, is a way of putting that. He
where's his history book? I want his reading book.
I absolutely do. I mean, well, or I would want like Beaumont Kin's History of the High Republic and History of the Galactic Republic. That would be something. But in Tears of the Nameless, Reith is in the library, in the archives here, this room here. He's on this floor here, and he's researching and he's uncovering, he's asking questions, he's understanding how the importance of getting scientific facts right. He understands the importance of how mythology and lore speak truth and communicate truth. And he's able to start to piece together just what's going on with the Nameless and just what's going on with the Blight, such that he's able to goes to the planet, and he's open to having this vision, open to experiencing, connecting firsthand with this history, because he respects it so much. He respects the importance of it for understanding how to live in the present, how to move forward in the present. He's not a slave to history. He's not saying it has to be what happened, but he respects the fact that history. This is interesting. We're both talking about history here. History is a necessary and absolute source of wisdom for understanding how we got to where we are today, and therefore how we can get forward, what we can respond to, how we can heal things. We get those moments in Tears of the Nameless. Finally, so Tears of the Nameless, yeah, bringing superlatives here. It's one of my all-time favorite Star Wars novels. I know it's kind of recentism a little bit, but I read it a few months ago. It's one of my all-time favorite Star Wars novels, and I got to shout out the acknowledgments at the back. Joel, don't sleep on those. Don't skip on those. George writing really poignantly and personally in the real world about his real circumstances and real struggles in writing this book during writing this book, and how all the friends came and supported him, and everyone at Penguin Random House or whatever Disney Books or whoever it was, the publisher, uh, the editors, Michael Seglain, everyone was really came together to help him make this book possible. And that speaks to just his own personal character and his humility. Even though he's such a master storyteller, and he's definitely one of the prominent voices in Phase 3. It all that acknowledgement also just all brings it together. It's part of the magic of that novel for me now too. So even though it's the last thing you read, but Tears of the Nameless by George Mann is definitely my pick.
Actually, I think if Rise and Fall of the Empire didn't exist, I think my second I would have picked The Living Force. I also really like that one too.
Although, wait till you finish Tears of the Nameless.
Maybe. I don't like the High Republic characters that much as you do those. And I like the Council characters.
Yeah.
More.
But Living Force was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, all these books were fantastic.
Oh yeah,
it was a great year for novels.
All right.
Down.
Well, there's some questions I don't think I'll be able to answer, unfortunately. Yeah. You might. I'll let you answer. What was the best Star Wars toy collectible of 2024?
It's a good question. Part of me also wants to say this York sticker.
Sure. Well, I'll say that.
I'm trying to bring it closer. Trying to get it here.
Luke Skywalker in a sweater.
There we go. Oh yeah.
Got the Lego Advent calendar.
I mean, I will say Black Series has definitely made a comeback. It was really poor, really weak for a while, and just not worth the price point. But now the characters, the faces look like it. Their production schedule has definitely moved up. You can get Skeleton Crew figures now, which you would have had to wait a year to maybe get Skeleton Crew figures or whatever it was, get Mandalorian figures. So yeah, I mean, maybe a better way of putting it. What was the best thing you've purchased? And I don't know if I have an answer to this.
Oh, yes, I do. I have an answer. I can't give it a bunch of Christmas cards. I have a Darth Bane bust I got from Star Wars Galaxy Day, and my BB robot that works.
Nice.
Although I don't know but there. There we go. That can't beat Galaxy's Edge.
I think mine. I don't have. It's not here. It's been on screen a little bit, but I was at a kind of just random toy show, and I found a comic pack. Those action figure comic packs that you should really bring back.
Yeah.
A comic pack of Bail Organa and Obi-Wan Kenobi holding Luke and Leia, and it's the Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's the only action for like baby Luke and Leia. It's
adorable.
Astounding.
Yay. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I guess
is this from Galaxy's Edge too, or Tyler, you can chime in there.
Me?
Yeah. So go ahead.
All right. So the next one's another unfair one. What Star Wars series of 2024 had the best visual effect? We only got two: The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. So for this one, let's only judge by the first 4 episodes. There we go. We're gonna make it fair. Who knows? I'm gonna go with Skeleton Crew. I think Skeleton Crew looked a little bit nicer overall. I mean, I don't really do special effects that much. I don't really notice unless they're like terrible. Like, oh god. I think they're both good. I think Skeleton Crew overall has looked maybe just a little nicer. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I mean, I guess because you got Neil, who's like a animatronic head, special effects. So that kind of wins out, I guess, at the end of the day. And Shmi, the robot. So
he's good.
I'm gonna vote Skeleton Crew on this one, but it's a very tepid vote.
Yeah. This is a bit of this might be an incendiary take here. I'm not jiving so much with the animatronics in Skeleton Crew. I think it's just so obviously animatronic, and if they can do things CG. So that's not the only reason I'll say Acolyte. I mean, this is kind of cheating because it's thinking about episode 5 as well. But the Acolyte, even the the way in that episode through the glowing, the foreheads, some of the action and combat there was it get there's action sequences kind of special effects. Like it can, like in Dara
I was
at the
thinking of
very
more
beginning.
choreography, but it depends.
Yeah, in Dara at the very beginning. I don't know. This one's hard to say, but I mean, I saw Skeleton Crew episodes 1 and 2 on the big screen, so that was good. Do we have any votes? Yeah, here we go. We're talking about Skeleton Crew best special effects. Loving the comic packs. Yeah. I hope you don't. Do you unbox those? I know that, leave my bias. If you do, fair enough. All power to you. But I'm just very curious there. The Galaxy and Shop Disney. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you're in the same country as Disney, I believe. Fair enough. Sorry, I'm being salty about. I'm not being salty about you. I'm being salty about.
I live 30 minutes
crossing the border.
Yeah. You should be salty about me. I live 30 minutes. Yeah. I can go even with other people. Okay.
Good. Sorry, I'll just give my bias here again. If someone doesn't, that's fair. But
what?
Yeah, doesn't unbox comic. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was the best performance of Star Wars in 2024?
I feel like we're gonna agree on this one. Yeah.
I think so. D. Bradley Baker as the Bad Batch, the Bad Batch. Michelle Ang as Omega. They spelled Omega.
Another typo there.
Amanda Stenberg as May Osha. Daphne King as Jecki. Charlie Bernard as Yord. May Jacinto as Chimera, as the Stranger. Ling Jung Jae as Soul. Rebecca Henderson as Venestra. Jude Law as Jod. Ravi Kabat Conyers as Wim. Ryan Kiera Armstrong as Fern. Kiana Crater as KB, and Robert Timothy Smith as Neil.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I want to say Neil because I love him, he's our little baby boy. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with Lee Jung Jae as Soul. I really liked Soul throughout the whole thing. I mean, he was my favorite performer, period, of the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that he doesn't, that Lee Jung Jae, is not a native English speaker,
True.
At all. He's Korean. In fact, he learned English for the show, and yet it still comes out quite powerfully. That's some pretty talent. That's some talent right there, right? Mm-hmm. Like that could go very wrong. They don't have him speaking his native Korean. Which is actually kind of funny. They could have gotten away with it. I mean, Nine Nubs is voiced by an actor who speaks Kenyan. That's not alien language. He's speaking Kenyan.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
never knew that.
Yeah, he's not speaking gibberish. That's legit Kenyan. So anybody who's in Kenya who watches Return of the Jedi, like, oh, that's what he's saying.
Or like Swahili, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, something like Swahili maybe, whatever the Kenyan language is. Sorry. And he's just great. I loved every second. His death is tragic, and he just gives a very powerful performance. So I'm just curious if that's what we were going to agree on, or maybe not. I'll be curious.
No, but he was my second choice. I mean, I will say, I remember that moment. He's all angsty. He goes under below decks, angsty, and then just see him clear. Just the acting, the ability of the facial control. To do that, that's astounding. If this one actor was not on this list, this would be a very difficult choice. But I do not understand how D. Bradley Baker did it. I do not understand how he made for. I mean, in Clone Wars too, but he made for. It's the same actor doing how many roles, doing so much time. Yeah, so much time in the booth, so many lines, and he was able to give each character such distinctive performances. How do he separate them? How do he keep them all on track in his mind? It's astounding. I don't know the ins and outs of voice acting very well, but again, I'm at a loss for words. It's mind blowing, just how perfectly he did what seems like an utterly ridiculous task. And so I got to give it to D. Even acting against Omega, and all the way to I mean, definitely Rex, and and we go the 1-2 here as well, like Cody and Crosshair and I guess was Cody in the season? I don't know, but in Crosshair and all the Crosshair's journey in this season, in this story especially, and so yeah, utterly astounding to just play all those characters at once. It's kind of, I mean, I'd see the credits every week and be like, D. Bradley Baker as the Bad Batch. Like, it's not one character; it's 4 or 5. So, sorry,
yeah.
There, but, yeah.
I mean, hey, he's a king of voice acting for a reason. He's a vet. All right, here's one of us can answer.
Yeah.
What was the best Star Wars video game of 2024? We got Outlaws and Hunters. Easy for me, Hunters. I played it, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's very easy to entry barrier. You know, just if you have friends, especially, just you and your gang, you shoots and stuff. You know, if we were talking about like story, I mean, Hunters doesn't have a story. Outlaws does, but you know, I think I'm going at this from a gameplay perspective. You know, because if I want the story, I just watch a movie. From a gameplay perspective, I think Hunters wins out. So there you go.
Sure.
Want to say anything about Outlaws, or do you want to go to the next one?
I haven't played Hunters, and I've barely watched any cutscenes from Outlaws, so I got no skin in this game. If I had to pick, probably Outlaws, but there we go. I forgot to bring up unboxing. There we go. Baker, again for similar reason. Yeah, so definitely. I mean, not like you disagree, obviously, but yeah.
Oh, no, of course.
Yeah.
All right.
Best Easter egg. Sorry, I'm kind of.
I'll count this as an Easter egg, although maybe I don't. Well, I'll count this as an Easter egg because then I can't actually think of like a legit Easter egg.
Yeah.
So I'll just say the Plagueis cameo for like 5 seconds because that's my favorite moment in the Acolyte, unabashedly so. I don't think that actually counts as an Easter egg in terms of what Easter eggs actually should be.
No.
But I can't really think of anything off the top of my head because I'm not actually good at that stuff. So there you go. There's my pick.
Yeah. Does the whole like Skeleton Crew, the great work supporting the Republic, does that count?
I mean, until proven otherwise, sure, why not? We can say that.
Let's move along.
Okay. Who is the best Star Wars character of the year? You mean just in general, or you know, I don't actually understand this question a little bit, but
like best character, best character period. Because there's another one that would make sense.
All right. Oh shoot, this is hard.
I don't know the answer either.
I feel like I feel like in a cheap answer, every year's gonna be Darth Vader. I mean, I guess I'll just. I guess I could just say the Emperor because he's my favorite.
Actually,
but I didn't do much this year.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll you know what? No, I'll save it for next one time. I'll just say the Emperor. Still.
Okay. You know, this is very biased, but that'd be very subjective. I'm gonna still go with Reith Silas, just because he ended up, showing up and really stepping forward, and he's gonna have such an important role in this overall story, and so is my favorite character in the High Republic. Trying to think. Yeah. It's just there's so many. That's the problem. There's so many. And yeah, we don't know. I mean, I do think
some people
OSHA, I mean, and Endless.
We can save that for next year. Maybe we can save those ones for
Yeah, that's true. But like as best character, yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on to that one.
Who's the best new character?
This is the interesting one. So go ahead.
I am going to pick Master Soul again because I really liked Master Soul. I think he's quite a tragic figure among the Jedi. I always said he is what I think a lot of fans online think Qui-Gon was, and that's why he failed because he's exactly what you think Qui-Gon was, and that's if Qui-Gon was like that Qui-Gon would have gone that same route. And again, it's a lot of Levi Young's performance. And just everything about him, just so tragic. So I think Master Soul is my favorite 2024 character of the year. I mean, I guess, I'll say him. I was going to say Dr. Hemlock because I love him as a villain, but no, I think I'm going to pick Master Soul.
I mean, it's interesting. We're noting Acolyte things. It had so many elements going for it, and that to me is why, why I was disappointed that it got canceled. is because of
Master
what
Soul's already dead, so it's not like he would have come.
Sure, but it's an element that was in the story, and what season 2 could have become, could have made this show into so much potential. So yeah, lot to build there. I'm gonna, again, this is kind of recentism, and he isn't exactly.
So
he isn't actually. It isn't actually a new character using this mobile video game, but yeah, this Ubrick Adelhard, really formidable, intriguing, compelling villain that, again, I'm claiming him as a new character.
You can. I think he is.
Thank you. As someone who's played the video game.
I have not played the video game, actually.
Or is aware of the video game, at least. Yeah, so intriguing, very intelligent, open to different assets, different aspects of the Force, even the dark side and the acolytes of beyond and all that alliance, potentially really setting himself up as a real threat to the New Republic and a thorn in the side to Gallius Rax and Ray Sloan, even though they deny it. And in that last issue, the acolyte, forget her name, Reyna Skur, she denies it. But that's kind of thing. The harder you try to deny something, the more it has a chance of actually being true. And so I'm convinced he's still alive. I'm convinced that's spoilers for anyone who hasn't read this comic book. I'm convinced that's him emerging from the wreck of the downed escape pod in Brog's armor. But yeah, he's consistently. That's the weird thing is, this is a comic that has at least the big two, and Luke and Leia, and then Lando and Mon Mothma. But Adelhard is the most interesting character in this book, and that's not.
He's
that's
the
not
star.
wrong.
I think he's the star.
He
of the
really
comic.
is. He's
it's his story. I think it's his story.
Yeah. And so,
yeah. No, first off, I agree he's a new character because look, I only know a little bit about the video game, but they built the character from ground up, more or less. I mean, I'm sure they took like little aspects, like the basic premise, but it's like
his look,
like his whole spiel, his ideal, but sort of like, then they actually put him in a plot with characters and lines and actions and whatnot, and that's how you made him a character. So 100% agree with that. He is the star of that comic.
Yeah.
I think you can't have a villain be the star. Like how technically you can retroactively say Vader's the star of the
Thanos is the star of Infinity War. He's the main
absolutely.
character. That's my favorite comic book movie of all time.
Oh, absolutely. He is the main character.
Yeah.
Endgame is the Avengers are the main characters, but in that it is Thanos, and I 100%. I don't want to get into a tangent, and we can probably talk about this later.
We're already at 2 hours.
I'll just put this little thought in your head, and we can talk about this another time.
Mm-hmm.
When we put together the whole High Republic phases 1 through 3, could you argue Marchion Ro is the main character? He is the star of the High Republic. It's his story. He is.
Well, it depends on how it ends. We'll have to see how it ends.
I could see that being kind of a situation. But
makes us glad we picked that logo.
But I 100% agree. He is the main character.
So is Adelhard the main character of this comic? I don't know about that. I don't know if there is one necessarily.
I think he's definitely he's the peak. He's the penultimate one.
He's definitely the one that the story seems to revolve around.
I think it's like a Thanos. So kind of. But okay. Both good answers. Both good answers. Yeah. All right, here's a little bit hard one.
Yeah.
What was the best Star Wars moment of 2024? A scene sequence from a show, game, book, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to choose something from the Acolyte, and no, it's not what you think. I'm going to choose the May bleeding her lightsaber as she chokes Master Soul out. That doesn't sound right. Literally.
I know what you mean, though.
Because I think that's such a good moment. And here's my incendiary take.
It was Osha who was doing it.
No, Osha, dang it.
Yeah, we both switched them. There we go.
Strike that, reverse it. That's such a good moment. And this is my incendiary take. I think Osha's Fall of the Dark Side is honestly the best on-screen Fall of the Dark Side we've ever seen. I think it is perfect. I think it is. She is dark just enough. She is now going wahaha, I'm evil, time to kill the younglings, lightning everywhere. It is bridal rage over finding the truth to something that has been hidden from her for
Yeah.
nearly most of her life, and very telling of her own personality that that's how she reacts by both her lightsaber bleeding and her, force choking Master Soul. And what I love about it is like, it is very almost. I only want to say she accidentally bleeds her lightsaber. Oh, kind of, but it's like just the rage has now been unleashed. She can't control it, and her lightsaber is bleeding because of it. It's like it's a physical representation of she's the dark side is consuming her. Like she is pissed off.
Yeah.
And then of course Matt's still dead, and her lightsaber is red. She's like, what happened? Like she's almost like holy moly, what happened? Like she kind of snaps out of it for like a half a second. But that's such a good moment. I was almost gonna pick the necromancer moment, but like you know what? Now I'm gonna pick this one. I think this is a great moment, and also this one I can think of off the top of my head. So,
I keep forgetting to pick up past answers here. This new character Crosshair.
Oh, that's
right. Or no, I guess breakout character or the episode. I don't know that was referring to. Okay, this is his vote. There you go. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Well, are we kind of painting ourselves into a Save the Acolyte corner here? Because we just keep talking about how great this show is. Great these elements, right? Elements in this show.
Well, I would say
as a whole, it didn't quite come together, but there's such fantastic, tremendous elements. The moment that is was it idiomatic or what's the word? Yeah, just definitive. Not definitive. Well, I'm trying to like definitely bears out and iconic for why I love episode 3. It's that confrontation with Indara on the going to the invading the ritual, and Osha coming out of the woodwork there, and Indara saying, "Oh yeah, this group is illegal," and both Anasea and what's the other one? I forget what her name is. The other mother. Her reaction.
Anasea. Coral.
Yeah. Coral. Mother Coral. Yeah. Anyway, just the reactions to that in that moment. And it's again a encapsulation, there's the word, of everything I love about that episode, because you have all these different perspectives. And again, the question about who is right in that moment isn't as important as who do you think is right and why do you want them to be right.
This is your moment, right?
Yeah, this is my moment. And to say is in Indara. Oh well, yeah, when they in episode 3, episode 7 again, we have more context about it. But in episode 3, gives us even, it works on that level of the galactic, who's made these groups illegal to train children. Is it you got to be the Republic? Here are the Jedi enforcing that. Well, that's this interesting kind of throwback to, Council of just pre-secular societies, if you will. Different things, kind of in the reverse, but yeah, it just again it encapsulates that question of and how people feel in that moment, and how the characters make you feel in that moment, and the different ones. Who do you relate to? And I hear different people relating to different characters in that point, and so it's just such efficient. And by efficient, I mean able to pack in so much feeling and story and character into one confrontation of words, not a lightsaber confrontation. There's there are shows, or we see the lightsaber there, but yeah, that's my moment.
Yeah, I would not be shocked. Well, who knows? Maybe the next 4 episodes will or go, but I would not be shocked if when Skeleton Crew is done, and then we kind of could have done a more proper 2024 with the live action stuff, we would maybe break it down where overall we think Skeleton Crew's the stronger season, but we like stuff from the Acolyte more. I would not be shocked if
Yeah,
I have a feeling that might be my take coming out of it.
that seems likely. I mean, going through this, like we're going through this now, and
because like if I had to vote like best show live action, I probably would pick Skeleton Crew. But like these two moments, it's like both Acolyte moments.
Yeah.
Although I picked the Plagueis thing just kind of because I
Sure.
don't know anything better. Okay. The final question: what was the best highlight overall Star Wars moment of 2024, including conventions, reveals, interviews, video experiences, etc.?
Yes.
Well, I'll do the cheesy but sincere thing that I always see these retrospectives do and say that my favorite moments are every week of this podcast. And no,
that's so kind.
But no, I'm serious. I enjoyed these every week. Gives me something to do. Gives me time to talk about Star Wars. And, get all my thoughts and feels. Hang out with you, and we can talk about theology and then fun lore stuff and books and comics and little Legos. I got this little Lego X-Wing thing right here and show it off.
Nice.
A bunch of these behind me. And, we get to talk to our great audience and hope they're getting something out of it, even if it's a small audience, but it's a dedicated one. And yeah, I enjoy this every week. And I think this is always my highlight of the week. So I'm going to say that, but I do kind of want to cheat just a little bit.
All right.
Because this is actually something that did happen to me in 2024.
Sure.
I got to go to Galaxy's Edge. Yes. I got to go to Galaxy's Edge, and I got to see the thing, and there was a big, kids charity thing, a Make-A-Wish Foundation did a Star Wars thing. It was really cool, and they had a show with all like Rey and Kylo over there, and I got my BB-8, and I got to see everything. It was the most amazing experience ever. So yeah, in terms of like 2024, the year of, that probably is like the most epic thing. But of course, I do enjoy these podcasts every week, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade going to Galaxy Edge for that. That's for sure. So yes,
that's profound. That's making me feel a little guilty that for not picking this.
I know. Definitely.
Definitely every Monday and every Wednesday with Chris. Just to talk Star Wars for fun.
Yeah,
great. I think the moment that came to mind, I guess it's three sets of moments about the same thing. So it was on, I guess it was at Dragon Con, Alex Damon interviewing Charles Soule about the ending to Trials of the Jedi and how just hearing Charles talk about how everything is going to swirl and swirl and swirl around and hinge on one small moment. And I'm just thinking about what that moment is and what is Markian's role in it and whatnot. And then, I heard it at New York Comic Con sitting next to Chris Abbott. Heard him say that thing again, and my mind got going. Oh, what he said is you're going to feel like how we felt at the beginning of I guess how did he word it? It's you're gonna feel like this build up, and so really anticipating the end of High Republic here in a it's gonna be sad, but it's gonna be hopefully one of the greatest Star Wars moments ever because of this incredibly ambitious initiative that they've done. Then after that panel, I went down to get Charles sign actually his indie comic Lucky Devils, and that was a nice one where he genuinely appreciated that I'd gone and bought the comic and reading his indie comics because it seems to be, obviously he loves the Star Wars stuff, but there's something about the worlds that they build themselves that that people pick up and appreciate, something more about themselves that they put in. But then I said,
enjoy new things that aren't your classic IPs.
Exactly. And his role building is fantastic. But I told him, so the ending of Trials of the Jedi, this thing building and building up, and hinging on one small moment. Oh, that's like how Avar prevents that ship from crashing into the star on Hetzel, right? He's like, interesting that you think that. Huh. Now, obviously not that I've pieced something together or whatever, but just a reminder of um yeah, I mean how again this publishing initiative uh really, I mean, how I've really taken to it, and if so many of us have taken to it so well. I know not everyone has. That's fair, but yeah, it continues to be. It's going to go down as hopefully if they nail the ending, just sounds like they will. And this is the thing. This is excitement that they look like they're nailing the ending already in the end of phase 3 here, rather. At least for those of us who've read everything and followed up through everything.
Your end game.
Yeah, it's going to really, but even more rewarding than I think Endgame. Oddly enough, I think just because it's just been such an investment in all the things I care about with Star Wars. I care about these space wizards. I care about their role in the galaxy and how the conflict and the anxiety of losing that place in the galaxy and what it means to find who you are in that crisis. Yeah, it really, just like the Dark Times does, the High Republic has, and so to be able to have a sense of what this initiative is and where maybe it's going, just instinctively.
What was it all about?
Yeah, what it's all about. Great reminder of that. And again, at a con, and New York Comic Con, and that's the magic of New York Comic Con is that everyone shows up, and so you can have these conversations. Chris was able to show Charles his Daredevil cosplay that is from a comic that I think he wrote. So yeah, to have those kinds of interactions between, especially with comic and novel creatives, maybe that's kind of part of my comment is New York Comic Con 2024. I won't be able to go. I don't think I'll be able to go next year, but hopefully have another similar memory. But yeah, it'll be fun. So yeah, I guess that may be my roundabout answer is meeting the actual creatives and interacting with them in your Comic Con, but specifically finally getting a good moment with Charles as opposed to a kind of a smart moment.
Well, that's always fun.
Yeah.
And I'm awfully glad you're checking out his newer stuff. I feel like, hey, I think it's just fancy to broaden our horizons, even though I'm guilty of never doing that. But also, it's like, if it's like, do you just, let's say, like, if we like these authors, it's like, do we like them only if they do Star Wars, or did we give them a chance to see their outside work? Which is,
and also, I don't mean like a smart moment in the sense of, like he's all being smart. He challenges his fans. That's the thing, is he really challenges his fans to be thoughtful about what they're bringing to appreciating his work. And so, and not that I need him necessarily to affirm that I appreciate his work in a thoughtful way, but it's, and I'm not, maybe I'm tooting my own horn here a little too much, but yeah, it was a good moment of me enjoying thoughtfully engaging his work.
Yeah.
Way of putting it.
All right. That was all the questions. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, one more little thing, and then we'll kind of leave here. What are we looking forward to next year? Just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not say celebration. I think that's gonna be easy time. So I'll say my thing first. My thing is the Reign of Fear, the Mon Mothma book. I am very much excited for that. Probably, I know I didn't say Andor. I'll be Andor, but that's coming first. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna do a review on it. I have a feeling I can maybe guess yours, but let's see. What is your thing you're looking forward to next year?
I mean, yeah, I guess the obvious would be the whole High Republic ending. I think I'm now specifically thinking about this. Another reveal, Kevin Scott, in his Cav letter, saying he's going to be able to bring Keith's story to the conclusion that, at least that to that hinge moment that he had planned out in 2019, 2020, whenever that was, probably 2018, 2019, that is really set off the whole "what did the Jedi fear" moment and so question. So really, this, I mean, not so much pivotal necessarily in the story, because I mean, I'm definitely, the second thing I'm looking forward to is whatever Charles Soule is cooked up here in Trials of the Jedi. But yeah, that what Keeve's role in all that is, and Tempest Breaker really pushed so much forward on that in terms of Keeve's own story, her own frustrations with the Jedi, her own just angst about what are we doing? Where are we going with this? What's happening? We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers, guys. But also, engaging with the wider story, and that to see that have implications on the wider story and the galaxy as a whole. So
awesome. Okay, everyone. I did say this with look forward and back, so I wanted to at least one.
Yes, there we go.
All right, everybody. I think that does it. That was fun. That was a fun poll.
Yeah, it was a fun poll. Long, yeah, good that we went longer on our last episode of the year.
Yeah, I think it was kind of. I think what I found funny is like we were kind of like all about kind of bad for Skeleton Crew, and then when we got to like specific moments, it's like, oh the acolyte,
yeah,
oh that actor from the acolyte, oh you chose Deep Bradley Baker.
I will say, so good. They're good.
I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, I will say a highlight in podcasting, just in my time, since 2017, I've been doing this in off and on. But man, when we did the week by week reviews of the Acolyte, when we went flagship like that, but in our own way, and that's the amazing thing, we did it in our own way of looking at the themes and the deeper ideas.
We got guests for almost every
guests
episode.
and whatnot, and so yeah, that's definitely in podcasting, Joel. We're coming up onto 3 years, I think, of this. Just mind-blowing too. So,
and we're this close to being in a year with a movie. We're Mando. And
yeah, maybe. What are we gonna have to do? We'll have half an episode on a movie, and then talk about the book. So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We will.
We'll think of something. Don't worry. We'll think of something.
So there you go. All right, but I think that is the place to wrap things up for this episode and for Canon 2024. Thanks everyone for joining us. Great chats. Tyler and Box and everyone else watching. Watching there. Please do let us know what you thought, what your favorites are of 2024. What do you think about Mask of Fear and all that, and even more of the Rohirrim and being Star Wars adjacent and all the other things we chatted about tonight.
James Gunn's Superman, how maybe that will affect Star Wars in the future.
It might. So yeah, please do comment below. Those boxes aren't going anywhere. Also do give this video a like and a share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Joel, it's been a great time, been a great year. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at GID20234 on Blue Sky, and then GID2024 on Twitter, I think. I don't know.
2021, maybe?
2021 on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, just Joel Davis. I am also on the Discord, of course. You can always chat with me there. Always lots of fun. We have game nights, movie nights, as always. And I'm excited for a new year, even whatever troubles in the real world may bring. May Star Wars bring fun and insight and good times.
You can we're gonna have an election probably in February or March, so you can empathize with us. We'll do another election special. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, MNEUG1138. I'm still on Twitter. I'm doubling up on the apps here. Twitter, NUG485. Also Blue Sky, MNEG1138.bsky. Social at beaches.foodie on Instagram. I haven't posted much recently. I think I posted somewhat recently, but kind of slowing down with that. I need to pick that one up. Grace your timelines with holiday meals and whatnot. Because we all need more positivity in the world. But yeah, so that's where you can find me. You cannot find me on the tractor beam this week because we're powering down for the holidays, but I will be, pictures. If you've ever wanted to know what Saskatchewan looks like in December, January, it's a lot of white, some hills, very snowy. I'll probably share some photos of that on my trip out west to see family. But yeah, it's gonna be a time. I'm feeling the need for a little bit of time from work and from everything. So looking forward to that, and then looking forward to coming right back here in January. We're definitely going to come back, and we're going to look forward to Star Wars in 2025, and look forward to embark on our 4th year at the Iron Canon podcast. Yeah, it's going to be built up a whole thing. I think this might be a banner year. Let's see what happens. See how
there's some exciting stuff coming. Some
exciting stuff. Again, the end of the High Republic. There is a celebration. We'll see. San Diego Comic-Con. Who knows? So yes, please do keep it on with us, and of course also on the Tractor Beam and everything going on the Star Wars Underworld podcast network. Joel, till then, until 2025, let's blow this thing and head home.